Welcome to Personal Injury Marketing Minute.
Welcome to the Personal Injury Marketing Minute, where we quickly cover the hot topics in the legal marketing world. I'm your host, Lindsay Busfield, the Vice President and Partner over at Optimize My Firm. Today, we're continuing our Spotlight on PILMMA series with Jason Melton, the co-founder and attorney at Whittle & Melton in Florida, and the president of Regents Remote Services, and the founding member and co-owner of the National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, also known as NAMIL. Jason will be presenting at this year's PILMMA Super Summit, and I can't wait to learn more. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jason.
Lindsay, I appreciate you going through that little CV there. That was a mouthful. I'm sorry.
You have so many different things going on. It's impressive and it deserves the mouthful. So tell us a bit about you, your background, and everything that you've got going on.
I agree it's worth mentioning, but I'm sorry you had to do it. I would have been happy to do it for you. So first and foremost, I'm an attorney. Started my career out as a prosecutor down in Miami. And my law partner, had family in Central Florida. He felt like it was an environment that would have been a good spot to start a law firm. He was right, and he was right for about 10 years. Then big money and folks from the big cities started advertising and marketing in our 5, 6, 7 county area where nobody wanted to work, and things got a lot more difficult. But for good part of a decade there, I mean, it was some good times. And so right around that same time as things got more competitive, it was also harder to hire. And through those hiring challenges is what got me to Mexico, and sort of became patient zero in my virtual assistant business. And from there, wrote a book, which came out last year, called Shore Up. You can get it on Amazon if you like. During this whole time, because I'm just knee deep in representing people in Central Florida, Central Floridians love to ride motorcycles. And so I have a lot of clients who have bikes. You know, some are older and like to ride on the weekends, and it's maybe like a Pan American or like a Honda. And then some are sort of what the Hollywood version of what a biker might look like. But through and through, you know, people who ride motorcycles represent every part of our society. Big, tall, white, black, fat, skinny, retired, working, law enforcement, criminal. I mean, anything you could find in a car and a truck, you can find on a bike. And although there are things like biker bias, things you have to figure out with insurance companies and juries, there are certainly special injuries that happen with regards to bikers and people on motorcycles. The fact of the matter is most motorcycle accidents are the fault of the cars and trucks. There is visibility issues that occurs, but unless we're going to talk about banning motorcycles, which you and I both know is never happening, then let's be reasonable with each other and let's talk about how to do it safely. And there's a lot of people who just want to, blame bikers for things because they may believe it's an otherwise dangerous activity, and so they think that they're otherwise dangerous people. It's obnoxious because there's a lot of very well-intended, church-going 68-year-olds who live in the villages who go to, who happen to have motorcycles. I mean, it's not at all the picture of what you'd see out there. So it's a challenging environment, but it's fun. And for at least my part of the world, there's so many folks that ride bikes and make that a part of their community, if you will. And so,
and importantly, they do it safely. And if it were just them on their bikes, these accidents wouldn't be happening, because motorcyclists are some of the most aware riders out there who are really well.
They would have to be.
Yeah. Right? And defensive driving, they just live by defensive driving. It's so funny, after riding in a car with a motorcycle rider, like they are always checking their mirrors. They are constantly looking out for the hazards that could be around them. So it's just kind of ingrained in them, because they don't want to cause an accident, because they're the ones who are going to get hurt.
Yeah. And, they don't have windshields and doors and roofs, seatbelts. I mean, there's so many things they don't get the benefit of. They don't get to say, "Oh, shucks, that was a mistake," because even the mistakes that aren't their fault, it's their problem.
They're paying for it, with their health.
Exactly. So so I love the practice area. I love the different types of people you get to meet. It's very fun. So that's kind of a rough overview of my life in the last 25 years.
Well, and you have so much going on, but it's
Professional
all,
life.
and I don't know how you've managed to write a
Because
book in all of that too.
yeah, because I am married and I have two kids, and that's truthfully, that's a lot too. So
Yes, it is. Absolutely is. They tend to take up time as well, and well deserved time. But having all of this going on, I talk to a lot of attorneys who are very attorney mindseted, which is great. They have clients come through the door, they focus on the case, they work the case, they settle the case, and everybody goes on happily. And when you go to law school, you learn how to do that, and you learn how to do that really well. But what I've heard time and time again is that law school doesn't teach you how to be a business owner. But you've kind of figured out how to look at the market, assess the needs of the market, and figure out, okay, well, I have a law firm, but I'm struggling to hire well, or I have a law firm and this is an underrepresented community that needs additional help. And so here's a business opportunity and here's a business opportunity. So talk to me how you assess these markets and build new verticals within this industry.
well, I mean, in fairness, to me, I have an advantage over everybody else because I grew up in a home with a non-college educated entrepreneur as a dad. So while I was a kid, he was in the ladies' clothing business. He was in the real estate industry. He was in the restaurant business. I skipped. He was a petroleum landman in between there, and then was in the restaurant business. And that's, spans, I don't know, 35, 40 years. So in all those businesses, I participated in some way. As a kid, I used to go, instead of going home, I'd go to the clothing store and sell clothes and talk to customers and hang out at the register and maybe take some money out and go buy a donut next door. But like, I hung out in the store all the time. And so I was either watching people selling things or watching people negotiate or participating in it myself. There's an old story of mine where this lady kind of befriended me in the store and had me shop with her for dresses. And she was going to, I think, some sort of function in DC. I don't know if it was a presidential ball but it was something like that. And I adamantly convinced her that this like $500 brown dress looked way better on her than this $3,000, uh, you know, article. And my dad was a little upset with me about it, but I was just being honest with her. And my dad always taught me, no matter what, like when you're talking to customers, like they can tell when you're not being honest, and you can't remember your lies if you keep telling people things that aren't the truth. And it's going to come out of your mouth one day. You're going to say, "Oh, that brown dress looked better on you," and they're going to remember you told them the other one looked better. So it's just easier just to tell the truth. And so
It
I was
is,
just
and she's going to come back and be a repeat customer because she knew that
what
you
she did.
were working on the
She
commission there.
And she was. She came back and shopped with my dad all the time. She would always laugh about me pushing that brown dress on her, and that it saved her. Like, her husband was so happy with her, and she saved all this money. But I always remember that. But like I'd go on road trips with my dad when he was doing the petroleum lamb stuff, which was cool. We'd go down to the valley and go into the courthouses and look up deeds and try to figure out who had mineral rights. Talk to families. It was a really interesting job. Now it's kind of funny because there's a TV show about that stuff, but
Man, yeah.
yeah, hardly anybody knew about that line of work. And I did it with my dad a couple summers in a row. And the sushi business that my dad got into, that led me to meeting Chris Farley, and my dad met Harrison Ford. We had all these great interactions with people just from having a sushi restaurant. And I learned so much from the restaurant business because I did some political work for the Restaurant Association as well, where I got to figure out how to talk on behalf of multiple businesses for a centralized issue. That's pretty close to legal work. And this was all before law school. So I felt like I had a lot of free training and sort of hanging out with my dad and figuring out what he was doing. I've had some other good opportunities as well professionally, but those early ones are amazing because if you can teach somebody something like that when they're 12 or 13, when they're 30, I'm not saying I would come to trial unprepared, But like the idea of talking to a jury about a case, I don't necessarily need to prepare for a long time to do it, because like talking to people, like sales, like anything else, that's kind of second nature to me. Um, Legal work's still very hard. You always need to prepare. But a lot of the things that emotionally are obstacles for lawyers are not for me. Sometimes it gets me in trouble because sometimes I won't prepare enough because I know that I can get over the other stuff. But I don't generally have any issues with you have to get up and talk about something or what have you. And that's what led me to being a prosecutor. It wasn't criminal law. It's that I wanted trial experience and I couldn't wait to get in the courtroom because I wanted to see if I could do it. And it was fun. I had a blast. They just didn't pay me enough. I loved it though. I'd still be doing it if they'd have paid me enough for sure.
Well, and a lot of those experiences, especially those early on ones, they can't be taught, and part of it is in your blood. And I come from a really similar family of serial entrepreneurs, where my parents were hospital administrators, CEOs, but in their spare time, my dad was off getting his pilot's license and opened up an aviation supply store, and then went into hedge fund management, and then opened up one of the first day trading firms. And all the while, my mom was delivering donuts to his office, and then was like, I'll start my own donut shop. And then they just have very short attention spans and a lot of intelligence and are really creative and just love that building a business, and then they sell it off. But being able to go through and identify that market need, be able to build a business that meets that need really well, and either operate it or, ultimately sell it, it just kind of becomes second nature if you're raised in that environment. So it's great that you've been able to do something similar with your law firm, kind of putting that as the foothold there. And then from that, building out the virtual assistant, as well as the National Academy. Yeah, I know there are a lot of words in there. National Academy of Motorcycle Injury Lawyers, NAML.
Enamel, that's right. Yeah, that's been fun. Yeah. Well, and the great thing about Enamel is that my business partner in Enamel is Ken Hardison, and as a member of PILMMA, I have great admiration for Ken and have learned so much from him. And but then to be his business partner in something has been awesome. I super have a lot of gratitude for him. Asking me to come in and help him with that, and I've learned a lot with him, working with him as well. That's been awesome.
Well, Ken is another one of those guys where business just comes naturally to him. And I love that he has created PILMMA as an outlet for personal injury attorneys to be able to come together and share that business experience, especially when there's not a whole lot of training on that in law school itself. But to be able to
Well,
get together and
yeah,
share what's going on in the industry and figure out new ideas for as the market's evolving.
it's one of the most lonely industries there is because not only is there not much training, the reason there's not much training is why would you want to train people who are going to compete with you? It's very hard to begin with. And so the ones who have kind of either figured it out or have a niche or whatever, we don't want to share that with anybody. And we certainly don't want to share it with people who work in our neighborhood. So the brilliance of PILMMA is that you're hanging out with people who you don't compete with. And
Right.
so it allows you to basically reveal your soul. And for many of us, it's like therapy. And one of the greatest gifts that I ever received as an adult was a recommendation to get a therapist.
Mhm.
And I love going to therapy. It's my favorite. I've been going every month for about 3 or 4 years, but I never, 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 never would have considered doing it if I hadn't been in PILMMA, which just seems weird, but PILMMA allowed me to just talk about all the stuff that I had been keeping secret because you don't share that stuff with other lawyers, right? And so it was very therapeutic, continues to be very therapeutic. And because of that, you get very strong bonds with your fellow members. I love the PILMMA masterminds I've been in. Sometimes they shuffle up a little bit due to people's performance, and like the group I'm in right now, I think I knew about a third of them. So I got to meet some brand new people. This was just yesterday. Just got back from Key West. And we all shared some very personal stories with each other, and it's kind of like that scene at camp when everyone's the bandana guy's got his guitar and you're all praying for each other and blah blah blah. it doesn't mean to be that way, but it just sometimes ends up being that way because we're all leaning on each other for advice and we're accountable to each other. And there's nobody like that group anywhere in the country. I would never share that information with anybody else but them. So it's a really cool environment, and Ken is so smart to put that together.
Well, and nobody's going to understand it the way that you guys are going to be able to
Nope.
understand each other. And I mean,
Nope.
yes, you can talk to your spouse. Yes, you can talk to your friends. But unless you're living in that environment, nobody like gets it. They can be supportive, they can lend a sympathetic ear, but to be around people who are sharing the same experiences and have overcome similar
Yep.
obstacles
We
and
do the same thing in NAML. NAML, we have 2 live masterminds a year, and they're conducted the same way, and everybody gets the same kind of benefit from it. And of course, we save a ton of money by going to the group because we learn how to negotiate with vendors because somebody in the group has already negotiated with vendor X or Y or whatever, right? And then also, we make a lot of money by being in the groups because we could refer each other cases that we otherwise wouldn't have referred to each other. So there's accretive opportunities, there's savings opportunities. It's the mastermind effect, if you will, is real, and it's enjoyed in NAML as well as PILMMA.
Well, and we're coming up on PILMMA Super Summit 2026 in San Antonio. I know I'm looking forward to going. I'm going to be a speaker there this year. You're going to be a speaker there this year. Talk to me. What are you excited about specifically for this year?
Probably brisket and enchiladas. I grew up in San Antonio, which a lot of people don't know because I'm a Florida lawyer. So I'm excited to go home. I cannot wait to eat at all my favorite restaurants. As I was telling you before we started, I purposely made my trip longer because I have a list of places I need to go eat. I need to, and the list is long. And there's lots of different types of foods that are very particular to South Texas. Breakfast tacos, puffy tacos, brisket, chicken fried steak. I mean, it's a healthy list. Not to mention, obviously, my favorite cheeseburgers from growing up. So, and I've got
If
a
you
lot of
could
people I
share
want
that
to see.
list with us, that would be great.
Yeah, well, as I was telling you, I need to figure out who has places downtown now. Like some of the places might, but some of the places I know the barbecue places I like to go to are out in the hill country a little bit. And then some of the Tex-Mex places, by now, they've moved because they probably were smaller when I went to see them. Although I know a couple are right where they were before, are near downtown, and I'll share that list with all my friends. But it's one of the best eating cities in the country. It's also, I think, generally considered to be one of the most overweight cities in the country. I think it has something to do with what we eat, but that's how good the food is. So if you can strap it on for a week, it'll be worthwhile. You can be lean when you leave, but it's a great eating town for sure.
Well, and then you have to look at how happy people are there too. So, I mean, it is going to balance out one way or another. Well,
I
I'm so
I just
excited.
thought of a new food place from just now talking that I didn't think of earlier when I was speaking to you like 20 minutes ago. It just made me happy.
Well, I can't wait to get out there and go check out some of the food,
Yeah.
check out
Yeah,
PILMMA in
buy a
general.
buy a pair of boots, buy a hat. Enjoy yourself.
So I went to a conference in Nashville maybe a year or two ago, and my dad's a Texas guy too. And so when I was out there, I got him a really nice pair of ostrich boots for his birthday or Christmas or something like that, and a nice cowboy hat. And so he's very stylish. He lives here in North Carolina now, but it doesn't stop him from wearing the boots and hat.
Yeah, it's a different kind of country in Nashville, but I'm sure it's very nice.
Well, Jason, thank you so much for coming on the show today. It's been a pleasure
Yeah,
talking with you. Can't wait to see you at PILMMA in just a
yeah.
couple of months and look forward to hearing your presentation.
Thanks. Yeah, find me on that opening night. Regents is hosting the welcome reception,
Oh, excellent.
and I'll give you a short list of some places you can go eat.
All right, we will map out our eating journey as we get out there. Well, that's gonna wrap up today's episode of the Personal Injury Marketing Minute. Thank you so much for tuning in, and like and subscribe. Make sure you don't miss any of the other upcoming Spotlight on PILMMA episodes. And if you need any help working through your marketing or growth or operations, feel free to reach out to me at lindsay@optimizemyfirm.com. Have a great day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.